Saturday the 6th of August, and the world has gone crazy. We are seeing things happening in front of our eyes that are going to change the world that we knew 6 months ago forever. It's exciting times. I'm just sorry, I'm a little bit of an old guy. I'm not going to see the end plays of what things are just developing now. But there are signs that there will be a dramatic change. The most important thing that I see is that the days of America being the global super bully is counted. What I'm curious about is if the Americans will be able to adapt to live in a world where they have to be a new neighbor, a proper neighbor, with respect for other countries. I think it's going to be a big problem for them to adapt to that role. Because since World War II, they have grown used to having it all their way and that's it. And this new global world where there's going to be multipolar powers at play, I don't know if they will be able to adapt to that easily. But they have no choice. It's going to happen. I feel sorry for Europe. The current crop of leaders in Europe has no intention of managing that society to the benefit of the population. They're managing it to the benefit of themselves, and that's it. There's one leader there that offers some hope, and that is Viktor Orban from Hungary. That man talks sense, and he stands on principles. Principles that we as Westerners grew up to respect. But let's see. Now, the following series of snippets, I'm going to be forced to change words and things like that. You must read the included graphics yourself, because this channel, you must be careful. The Russian Defense Ministry said it was considering the involvement of the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, in the emergence of pestilence 19. The pestilence is likely man-made and using US advances in biotechnology. Perhaps the pestilence is fueled by the throw-in of new variants. In 2019, before the appearance of the first cases of pestilence, the exercises in the United States worked out actions in the context of an epidemic of previously unknown pestilence. And this comes from the Russian Ministry of Defense, and we must keep in mind that right in the beginning of the Ukraine adventure, one of the first objectives for the Russian forces was to get control of those biolabs. And they did that. And it is obvious that the Russian MOD is careful with what they release from what they found there. But there are rumors of nasty stuff. And then we get to South Africa, and our own control body here has always denied that there was any person that pegged from this preventative measures, and now it seems that they have finally admitted there was one, which is absolute bullshit. We all know that. All the countries around the world have got a hell of a lot more than one. We've got one. Read it and make your own deductions from it. It's important. They call it a casual link. And then there was somebody that responded to that post, and I cannot read it. You can read it yourself, but you must frown. And then we get back to the Donbass. These are not warriors, they are inhumans. The armed forces of Ukraine are not fighting with the army, but with the peaceful population of Donbass. Valerie, who participate in special operations as part of the armed forces of DPR, told the channel, "They kill children, women, old people, and destroy infrastructure and houses. The example of this is the pelting of Donetsk with the Petal personnel mines. Now I have done a skid mark on those mines, and I saw an article yesterday that apparently the Zelensky Nazis are now shooting those things into the Kharkiv area as well. And then this is a nasty, ugly incident. You can look at it and see for yourself. Another portion of the graphic images. For over 8 years, such tragedies, orchestrated by Ukrainian shells, have been a consistent part of life in Donetsk. And here are the images where one of their missiles hit a bus. And now we are in Estonia. Seems to me that little country thinks it's a superpower. The decision to remove all Soviet monuments is outrageous, and it does not paint Estonia. This was stated by Peskov. The Kremlin hopes that the public will offer to take the monuments to Russia and not destroy them in Estonia. That Estonian leadership is really stirring the shit pot. And then we get this. And it's actually tragic, but they brought it on themselves. Europe returns to the Middle Ages. There is no gas. You have to heat yourself with wood. The current anti-Russian sanctions prevent successful resolution of the situation with the transportation and repair of the Siemens gas turbine engines. I can only shake my head when I read things like this, and it makes you wonder, why are the people in Brussels doing this to the European citizens? And follow up, they are heading for the Stone Age, and now you get this. EU embargo on Russian coal purchases will come into force on August 10. All EU countries must comply with it despite the energy crisis. European Commission, under control of who else? Ursula von der Crazy. Now this is something I suggest that you can stop the video and look carefully at this. I did some research after I saw the things that Estonia and Moldova and Kosovo are doing. And I was curious, how are these countries really managing themselves financially? And I did some digging. And if you look here, this is crazy. This is for Kosovo. How much money the EU is pumping into that little province, which they desperately want to be independent and bring them into EU and bring them into NATO and all of that to disturb Serbia. Why? Because Serbia does not want to play along with the anti-Russian movements. Look at those amounts there. It is enormous amounts. And you must remember, the EC, which distributes these amounts, has no revenue stream other than collecting from taxes. And they've got a lekker gateway, borrow. And all that debt, who must pay that debt back and with what? And here's something more. This is on Latvia. Latvia has benefited from 64.6 million euros support since 2015. The union support to Latvia to better manage migration and borders comes from 2 EU funds, including 18.9 million from the Asylum, Migration and Integration Fund and 45.7 million from the Internal Security Fund. They're just pumping money into that place. Why? Why? And here's a little bit more. Look at those amounts. It is scary. And the European taxpayers must foot the bill here. And then this one. I searched for this. How does the EU finance its financial assistance? Information on how the Commission provides financial assistance to countries experiencing financial difficulty. Loan programs. Whatever. How else? Loans. Everything is financed with loans. The world, the Western world, does not know how to live within its means. It doesn't know that concept. And you don't need to be a rocket scientist to know that you cannot drive a business on loans. If loans is the only way to keep your business alive, shut it down, because it will not improve. And with every loan, the liabilities get bigger and bigger and bigger. Look at that. You can read all of that for yourself. It is crazy. The debt is out of control, and this is one of the things that the BRICS bloc is looking at, to get an alternative for the dollar and the euro. And it will be a currency that is based on a basket of commodities, not on paper. And this one is a very important thing to look at. And myself, in my town where I live, this cretins in the municipality has cut so many trees on the sidewalks. Trees that are 30, 40, 50 years old. They just cut it off. And they expose the buildings and the sidewalks and the roads to direct sun. Look at the differences here. Without trees, with trees. It makes a huge difference. I did a skidmark on the trees in Poland, and it is absolutely stunning to see how trees are being cut on sidewalks. And here's another one. We've been told for a long time that the Great Barrier Reef is dying, and this and that and that, and a lot of taxes was raised and a lot of things were prohibited and that. And lo and behold, Australia's Great Barrier Reef defies climate doomsayers with a record coral comeback. When will these greeny idiots give up? Nature works in cycles, and nature never allows anything to be out of balance for too long. And then we come to a very important article as far as I'm concerned. And the US-led push to isolate Russia fails as half of G20 ignores it. Only half of the group of 20 members nations have joined the sanctions imposed on Russia. It is an uncomfortable reality confronting Secretary of State Antony Blinken during his extended tour of Southeast Asia and Africa. Much of the world isn't ready to follow the US and European efforts to isolate President Putin, Russia. And this is very important to take note of. The signs are there everywhere that the non-West has had enough, and they are busy building a new global setup. And I've read many articles and I've listened to many debates, and what is important to note, the rest of the world, all their discussions, they acknowledge the sovereignty of the different countries. It's all about trade and growth and bettering the lives of the citizens without imposing ideas onto countries, which are most important thing. This shit that the Americans has been doing around the globe, spreading democracy, that is a fallacy and total bullshit. With their democracy comes death and destruction. Libya, Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, Yemen, name it, death and destruction. And then US efforts to weaken the Kremlin's grip on global atomic power markets are foundering. And I expect this was a typo, it must be floundering. US efforts to weaken the Kremlin's grip on global atomic power markets are floundering, says Bloomberg. Since February, Russia's Rosatom Corp has begun work on Egypt's first power reactor, advanced projects in Hungary and Turkey, and started new business from Myanmar and to Uganda. deals worth billions of dollars. Efforts to tighten restrictions on Rosatom, whose supervisory board includes 2 sanctioned officials, have stalled even amid congressional demands the Biden administration cut US reliance on Russian nuclear fuel. Russia provided almost a quarter of the fuel for 93 US reactors last year. The situation is equally tenuous in Europe, where Rosatom fuel generates electricity for 100 million people, mostly in ex-Soviet satellite states. At any point in time, Russia could cut in half the available global supply of nuclear fuel, and the most exposed market in the world is the US. And that is typical warmonger bullshit. I'm so sick and tired of this. Why can't these people change their mindsets? Let countries live in peace with each other. Let them trade and better the lives of their citizens. But everything has got an undercurrent of war, and it is all from the shithouse. Those newcons and cretins in that place are always, anything that comes up on the table for discussion, they color it with war. I'm so sick and tired of it. The West has already imposed almost all possible sanctions on Russia. Only very risky options remains. And this, you can read it yourself, this is the problem. They want to be selective here and there and punish Russia as long as they don't hurt themselves. But they did manage to destroy the European economy, and the European people are going to freeze this winter. It turns out that size does matter after all. Deputy Prime Minister of Moldova said that it would be wrong if Gazprom stopped gas supplies to the Republic because of small debts. According to him, it's obvious that the gas tariff is high and it will continue to grow. But since October, Moldova has paid Gazprom all the required funds and will continue to do so in the future. Those debts were yesterday and very large, and these are small today. And then, this is from an area in Moldova, demands that Chisinau agree with Russia on the price of gas. To solve the crisis, the President and Prime Minister of Moldova need to start dialogue with Moscow. And this is the thing, you can read this yourself. The problem hits the people. And for political reasons, the leadership has started an economic war with Russia, which is turning out very bad for Europe. And then we come to the Warafak. I can't say much about this Warafak. All I'm going to say is take a look at that. Take a good look at that. Who is who in the zoo? These things are disturbing to me, and it makes me feel that we are living in the matrix. Well, it is Saturday, there's a big rugby game going on here in my town, and obviously we're going to Braai. But before we go to Braai, please like, subscribe and share. I thank you.